I will reconvene the Commissioners' meeting this morning. I would like to mention, though, that Sheila Lyons, our chairman, is attending another meeting, actually in this building, and she will be joining us soon. We have one item on our Commissioners' actions that we did not take up earlier, and that is upon the recommendation of the Cape Cod Economic Development Council, I will entertain a motion to approve $20,000 in Cape and Islands license plate funding to pay for the cleaning and maintenance services for the Route 6 rest area. And before, maybe you'd like to make the motion, Bill, and then we can discuss it?
Yes, I'd like to make that motion for purposes of discussion.
And I'll second it.
Okay.
This was the result of an effort of a group of people, mostly members of the various chambers of commerce on the Lower Cape, and a representative from Mass Highway, Wendy Northcross from the Cape Cod Chamber of Commerce, and Mark Zielinski, who was assisting with some of the financial and budgetary items, and Dan Dre from the Cape Cod Economic Development Council. And this is a group of people that came together a couple of weeks ago. Most met 3 days in continuous discussion to see if we couldn't find a way to at least fund the rest area for this coming summer. We the group realized that it's a short-term and a long-term issue, and the short-term issue is actually to get it up and running through October 21st of this year. The same group agreed to come back in the fall in October and look for long-term solutions as to how we can actually fund it going forward. The total cost is $25,000. It was reduced to $20,000 because it's now only July, August, and parts of September and October. And also because the Chamber of Commerce has also committed, the Cape Cod Chamber of Commerce has committed $2,500 toward this effort this summer. So I'm very pleased that we were able to do this. It was one of those things that occurred that issues like that, you just can't let them go. You can't just not make some effort to keep this open. It's very important for the people coming to the Cape. It's important for the image of the Cape, the degree to which the Cape welcomes its tourists. So I'm very pleased that the EDC saw the wisdom of funding it, and very grateful that they actually did.
Pat, I think it should be noted that you facilitated the meeting in which all of this took place, and it was through your hard work to keep them on schedule that this happened. I think it's important for viewers to know that we're doing this because it is the right thing to do, but at the same time, it is a service that we are looking for more involvement by the Chambers of Commerce, and it was my understanding that the Chambers of Commerce that stand to directly benefit from this, for example, the Yarmouth, Hyannis, and some of the Lower Cape chambers are in financial straits, but they have agreed to participate in the fall to find a solution that spreads this cost over the whole Lower Cape, so that so that this might continue in a sustainable way over a long period of time. But again, I think that the public should know how much you contributed to chairing the meeting, bringing people together, and making sure that they understood what everybody's position was. So congratulations on that.
Thank you, Bill. It's pretty, well, it isn't easy sometimes to bring people together, but in this case it was, because the chambers on the Lower Cape, and I might add, there were representatives from Orleans and Brewster and Eastham and Provincetown, and they all realized how important it is, and so their willingness to come and work on the issue was actually what made it happen. And we couldn't have done it if they hadn't participated. So I'll call for the vote. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none. And so it's unanimous of the commissioners present. So I'm glad we had that milestone completed. Okay. So now we'll move to the next item, which is Beth Albert, and she's going to talk about the summer lunch program. Beth, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Good morning. morning.
Good
Good
morning.
morning, Beth. Good to see you.
Nice to see you both. So I'm here this morning to provide you with an update on the Barnstable County Summer Food Program. Before I get started, I did want to introduce you to Jean Copeland, and Jean has to leave, so this is great. I just wanted her to come in and introduce her to you so you could meet her. Jean.
Hello, Jean. Welcome.
This is I'm looking at the
Yeah, I know, the
Mary
names,
Pat Flynn and
plates
Bill
are
Doherty,
different.
two of our county commissioners, and she met Sheila Lyons the other day.
Okay.
Jean is the program coordinator, project manager
lunch?
for the summer lunch program for this summer. So
Mhm.
she just started on Monday and is right into it and learning a lot and hopefully not being overwhelmed because it's an interesting program. It's very complicated and there's a lot of moving parts. So we're very happy to have Jean with us, and she has a background and knows a lot about some of the human service providers, community services on the Cape, and has done a lot of outreach. So she's great, and we're really happy to have her. So just to give you some background, and I'll be very brief here, but as you know, the Summer Food Program is a program that's funded by the U.S. Department of Agriculture, administered through the Massachusetts Department of Education. And what it does is provide children under the age of 18 and under, with free, healthy meals during the summer when school is out. So statistics have shown that in Barnstable County, the number of children who qualify for free or reduced lunches is increasing. And the statistics say nearly 5,000 of Barnstable County's 23,000 school-age children are eligible for the free lunch program during the school year. And this program is really a prime indicator of poverty. According to the Mass Department of Education, the number is increasing and is about 400 more than last year. And the need for the summer food program, and just for healthy, nutritious food in general, is also supported by data collected annually by our department in monitoring the human condition. So the need for nutritious food has been a priority identified by the community for the past several years. For the last several years, the County Department of Human Services has sponsored the summer food program, with the exception of last summer when we didn't have a director in the department. The Cooperative Extension jumped in and ran the program last summer. This summer we're anticipating providing about 10,000 lunches, which is about 3,000 more than last year. We're doing it at 6 locations in the town of Barnstable and also at the YMCA camp in Sandwich. 2 of the locations in Barnstable are open to any child under the age of 18, so there are open sites. And there's 4 other sites that are what we call closed enrolled sites, meaning that they're summer camp programs that, like the the Barnstable Middle School has a program, so they're closed to children who are registered for those programs.
There are 2 YMCA camps in Sandwich. Which one is this? Is
This is
Linden?
Camp Linden.
Camp Linden.
Yep.
Okay.
The program's running this summer for 9 weeks. We're starting on June 29th, and we're running, going through August 28th, 5 days a week. The open sites are at Bierce's Way at Faith Assemblies Church in Hyannis, and the other open site is at Cromwell Court, which is family housing in Barnstable, town of Barnstable as well.
That's near the recreation center, isn't it?
Yes, last year the big open site in the town of Barnstable was at the rink, the Kennedy rink, but because they're doing the renovations and the demolition there, we were very fortunate to get Faith Assemblies, which is it's a church in that community right directly across the street. And it's actually a really nice site. They have a kitchen, we can serve the food indoors, there's restroom facilities. So we're very excited, and Faith Assembly has stepped up to the plate and really wants to provide the service to the community, as well as they also have what they call Kiddie College there. And so they have a number of children that come there for a day summer camp program. And so they too will benefit from the summer food program. So it's kind of a win-win for everything. And they're making a lot of changes to the environment there. They're putting up basketball hoops in the back and putting up picnic tables. So it's going to be a nice site for us to have.
Is the summer recreation program active on the other side of the street?
Yes, Barnstable, the rec program in Barnstable, my understanding, is also a sponsor, but they only sponsored their rec program.
Okay.
But we
Well,
do.
I guess I was concerned about, about crossing the street between the two places. Will there be some protection for the kids?
We are going to be looking at safety issues, and Jean is one of the things I've tasked her with is to follow up with the police department there and see if there's anything we can do to mitigate any kind of safety issues, kids crossing the street. So that is something that we're aware of, and hopefully we'll be able to implement something, even if it's a volunteer just being there to make sure the kids cross safely.
You might recruit. I was a crossing guard when I was in
Oh.
grammar school, so
Okay.
perhaps you could recruit one of the kids, give them an orange vest. And
Right,
a
yeah.
sign.
There's a lot of, it's a good point, because we are using a lot of volunteers, and a lot of those volunteers are children as well to come and help. But I just wanted to let you know, one of the challenges in sponsoring the program are the staffing costs associated with running the program that are not reimbursed by the Department of Education. In order to balance the budget for this summer, I've worked with Project Bread and also have met with 3 private foundations to request support for the program. And Project Bread was agreed to let us use a $5,000 incentive grant to pay for salary. And I've also had some very positive feedback from the foundations, and hopeful that they will provide us with the small amount of money we need to balance the budget. The county provides about 10% of the program budget as in-kind support, staff time. And in addition, I've introduced you to Jean. I've hired a project coordinator to run the program. And Jean's going to be responsible for the day-to-day operations, including volunteer recruitment, management, coordination of the activities, because part of this is not just a lunch program, but there's also an activity almost every day that we schedule in. The libraries come in, some science programs come in, nutritionists come in. So there's a lot of different fun and educational activities that we make part of this. And really, I just wanted to highlight that the success of this program is based upon the fact that it really is a collaborative effort among many, including 3 departments in the county. Our department, Human Services, Resource Development, which does the grant writing and the invoicing, and the Cooperative Extension. The nutritionists over there are going to have been very helpful in sharing information with us, and are going to be working with us this summer on the nutritional and food safety handling aspects. So it's a really good model for collaboration among county departments. I wanted to highlight that. And also point out that we have had the support of many, many volunteers over the years, and we hope to continue that and plan to continue that this summer. And attached to your update, I have given you an invitation to the kickoff for the summer food program, which is July 8th. We would love to have you come. It's usually a very fun event, I'm told. This will be my first as well.
They have balloons, and they have face painting, and they have clowns. And
yep, we have to pick our theme for this summer. Jean's working on that, and so I wanted to make sure that you had the invitation, and hopefully you'll be able to make it. Okay. Thank you.
Beth, how long is the lunch period regularly each day of the week?
The period for the program is 11 to 1.
11 to
the
1.
lunches is served, I think it depends on the site, between 11:30 and 12. So we have a half hour to set up, serve the lunch between 11:30 and 12, and then there's an activity after. So the entire length is 2 hours, 5 days a week. 11
Now,
to 1.
do most of the children, young people who come, do they actually stay for the program too? Do you
My
find?
understanding is that there is a lot of participation. Yep, they do, and they try to vary it and have, for example, if we have the librarian coming to do a reading program, she'll come every Thursday, and so if kids know what the schedule of events is and what the schedule of events are, they can choose what they like, and so you have people who are frequent flyers for whatever kind of program that they're interested in. Lots of arts and craft. We hope to have the Girl Scouts there, maybe some help from 4-H, and I know some of the community service clubs at the high school were reaching out to them. So there's a lot of community support and volunteers that go into making this work.
I mean, there are significant numbers of children who come. About how many come per site, would you say?
I think the daily average for the open site in Hyannis at the rink last summer was 43. So there were 43 kids that came on average on any given day. So the numbers that I've used for this year, I've based on those estimates, and we're hoping to get at least that number, and possibly more as well.
I'd like to make a suggestion. The area that you're holding in is in East Hyannis, which is the most densely populated part Barnstable.
Mm-hmm.
And is there going to be any effort to to paper or, to put out flyers in the neighborhood?
Yes, we have been doing outreach for the past 4 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
A big piece of this is a month, well, it's actually 6 weeks of outreach before the program starts. So the woman who's done outreach for the past several years is doing it again for us, Valerie Brown, and she does an excellent job. All the schools have been contacted, all the churches have been contacted, all the WIC offices. And so there's a tremendous amount of outreach that goes along with this we do for 6 weeks.
I'd only ask for one other thing. Perhaps you could call the town council and ask them during one of their meetings that they would announce when the program would start.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Because it does go out to the whole community.
Okay. We'll follow up on
Sure.
that.
And maybe even one step further, maybe you could get before them and discuss it a little bit, because they do have their community television, so that would help it would emphasize the program. And since I just stepped in, there isn't a pre-registration for this. People can walk in on...
For the open sites that we have at Faith Assemblies, which is on Bierce's Way, which is directly across from the rink, the Kennedy rink where the site was last year, that's an open site. So anybody 18 and under can walk in and get a lunch.
Mm-hmm.
And the other open site is at Cromwell Court. So there's no pre-registration. They can drop in. They can come as many times as they want during the summer. They can come, once. It doesn't matter.
Right.
So those 2 open sites are the ones that accept everybody. And they're open sites because they're next to an area that has eligibility, that meets the eligibility requirements.
Mm-hmm.
So we are limited where we can have open sites by the income eligibility requirements, which is based on the number of kids getting the free and reduced lunches during the school year.
And if I can just do a follow-up, I know that last year, because we were in the middle of having an interim director, Bill Clark, with the cooperative, picked up this effort, and it was his first time doing it, and he was astounded at how much time this project, although it seems like a very small project, took.
Yes.
And so I know that he happily returned it to you, but obviously his office has been helping. So when you say the in-kind hours, I know that on top of granting some funds there, the hours has been huge.
Yeah, I about 10% of the budget for the entire program is based on our support and in-kind support from the county.
Right.
And also I highlighted, it's a really good model for collaboration between 3 of the departments,
yes,
because RDO has shared what they learned last summer, as well as providing food safety and nutritional expertise. RDO has done the grant applications and will be invoicing, and our office is doing the rest of it. So it's a tremendous amount of in-kind in hours, and it is a complicated program. It's a simple concept, giving out food, but because it's from the Department of Education, there's quite a bit of program compliance, and just the startup activities, the outreach, and et cetera. So,
right. So I want to thank you and everybody and all the other departments for all that work.
Yep. You're welcome.
That's great.
So hopefully we'll see you on.
Yeah, we will be there.
All right.
Yeah, thanks. I was there last
Thank
year.
you,
And and do they use the local food? Don't they try to use
There is some incentive to use locally grown food. Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So I remember the lunches were delicious.
Good. Yep. Very good.
So
All right. Thank you.
thank you.
Is there any other business that we want to take up?
Um,
Our agenda is completed.
Excellent.
So unless there's something anyone wants to...
I noticed that on our agenda we don't have a place for new business.
Yes, we have to. We're working. I believe our agenda is now a work in progress right now. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks we'll have different sections
Of the
brought
agenda.
up. But that doesn't mean we can't put that on there right now. If you have some new business or a report you would like to.
Well, I want to mention that I did interview Kevin Gallagher on the Cape Light Compact, and we did that, and it's my intention to get more information out to people on the activities of the Cape Light Compact. We had an update on the activities in the co-op, but my impression is that although 60,000 families have received benefits from the Cape Light Compact, there's a lot of things that we are doing with the Cape Light Compact that people are unaware of. So I think they need to be constantly reinforced on the value of it. With regard to continuing things, I think that all of us are scheduled or planning to go to the legislative luncheon of the Cape Cod Town Council and
Selectmen's
Selectmen's Association meeting, and I thought that Pat had suggested in either last time or the time before that we talk a little bit about the services that we're presently offering, and suggest to them what service we would be pushing to begin with, and that might be an opportunity to put that in front of them on Friday. And I had suggested an agenda item and had sent that all out to you in the last day.
Right, I received that, and you did. Yeah. I'm not sure if we were on their schedule.
No, we're not on their schedule.
Yeah,
but
we're not
I
really scheduled to speak. I mean, they have us do a little update, and
I thought during the update that we pick something that says, okay, this is what we are going to do going forward. Okay, sign up. And the second part, that I suggested was that they communicate to us, perhaps not at that meeting, but over time, what their priority of effort is going forward. I thought that by handing out the booklet, our regional government that lists all the departments, that they could then review what services they're getting now, especially since there are new people that have been
exactly,
elected.
there's no selectmen there and that sort of thing.
By the way, did we send out an attaboy letter to the selectmen?
I think we requested that last week, and
we did. Okay,
so that should be.
Okay, but at the same time, I think it's useful to remind people of what our departments are and what they're doing, and by handing out the booklet, since we have it available, that they could use that to sort of review the services that are presently available in the towns.
How many would you like? I have them, their boxes are in my office, so.
I don't think we see more than 50 people at that meeting.
So, one of you, if you would stop in, I'll just bundle
Right,
them up.
give us a
I'll take responsibility.
Okay, good. And one of those services that we were repeatedly asked about on our trek through the towns as we met with boards of selectmen was assessing. And I think that we can indeed bring that up and discuss it a little bit. So we'll get
Well, another thing we were talking about is a strategy about how to make that happen, and maybe there are some towns. Maybe we could have a small working group, with one of us and a group of some of the selectmen in the towns, or town managers, or administrators, or whatever, to take a look at it and how it might, because it's going to need some a lot of informational background data, software, gathering of information to put together a plan. And it might best be done if we had some volunteers that might be willing to work with one of us to do that.
I think that's a good suggestion, and with the GIS component, becoming more available through the commission, they can be a piece of that.
Or have someone from the commission on the working group.
And but I think that's a good thing to put out there and just discuss. And anyone who's interested can contact us, and we can just leave it at that.
The other thing that I had mentioned in that email is that it's been about 6 months since we've had the new and improved Cape Cod Commission, and I know that we all believe that we're moving in the right direction, but perception is very useful to find out if our perception is shared by the people that we're delivering the service to,
right.
Especially since I've noticed in that regard sort of an inconsistency of the level of understanding about what they're getting or not getting. So perhaps we need to just ask them, okay, we've got a new improved Cape Cod Commission. We're finishing up SEDS. We've got the RPP has been out there. How are we doing?
Right. I think that might not be bad feedback for the commission. There's definitely it had a reputation, and I think in the last 18 plus months, it's gone through a reorganization and a new direction, and it's taking hold now, and they've accomplished a tremendous amount. And I think a lot of towns, those people who, the town planners, the town managers, boards of selectmen, who work with the commission closely, see the difference, appreciate the difference, and are much more in favor of the Cape Cod Commission, although unfortunately in the public perception there was so much, it's always the vocal minority that sort of carries the day, and that vocal minority happened to have been a negative voice. So I think that if we can get that feedback and make that more public, it would be a good thing for them, because I think that they have accomplished a tremendous amount and they should get that credit. So the staff is
indeed,
fabulous.
our perception may not be shared by people, and so it doesn't
So we
hurt
need
to ask.
to bring them up to date.
Right,
Yes.
and just have them
Right.
tell us what they think.
Right, and
After
then they'll
all,
know
part
where
of
it's
outreach and transparency and
Right.
and it's working with people has a lot to do with communication.
Right.
And as we all remember from our communication courses years ago, communication is a dialogue and not just two people talking past each other. And I think a lot of times we get, and just an observation in my service, is a lot of times I have seen parallel paths, and somehow or other
Right.
we have to make those contiguous.
And did we talk about the rest area?
Yes,
we
we've
did.
Okay,
already
so that's
done
all
the
been
rest
covered.
of it.
Okay.
Going back to the to this working group, in a way, the Lower Cape already has one, and maybe they might want to be the ones to actually take on this task of looking at assessing, rather than having a whole different group.
That might be
So
a great idea.
you might want to. Is it Dave?
It's Dave
might wanna
Schrofer, who is
talk
the
to
head
him,
of the...
yeah. And see if his group might want to venture into that area, or if they're too
Next
They might be,
involved
yeah.
in what they're already
Right.
doing.
But they could,
They may
he
not.
could at least come forward, because they've gone through the exercise of looking at something new and what that involves. So just having their experience of delving into trying to regionalize a department will be valuable. And so we will mention that as well at the meeting. And I'll talk to Dave, and I'm sure that it was Barnstable that has mentioned it, Brewster, and there were several other towns. So we'll have to go through that list.
I know Yarmouth was ready to go
Yarmouth
forward.
was ready to go aboard, and it sounds like okay, sure, we can do this very easily, but there are a lot of details to work out and language to make sure that everybody feels that they still have control, whatever issues they need to have control over in their particular municipalities. So
The other thing I was thinking is we haven't had a report recently from the Commission on their regional efforts around waste management. And that might be a good thing, because Falmouth...
Wastewater management.
Waste management.
Waste management.
Solid waste management. Because Falmouth had an RFP for curbside recycling, renewal of the contract. And included in that contract was a section to... there were two alternatives in that RFP to privatize the waste management facility, and that created like a firestorm of citizen reaction. I mean, people were really upset that the town had any thoughts at all about turning over that facility to a private contract. So anyway, the upshot of it was, because of public pressure, that was removed from the curbside contract. So now it's only curbside, and the waste management still continues to operate as a town operation. But I'm thinking that regionally, I know Mashpee has its own waste facility, but that is privatized. It's under private contract. Sandwich, I don't believe is. And of course, we all know Bourne has its own big, huge facility that other towns work with. But it wouldn't be a bad idea to get an update from the Commission and see where are we with this, and can we as a county leverage some of the county's resources to help the towns decide, what is really the best way to go on this. Obviously, there are going to be savings, financial savings, if we were to regionalize these services. And we need to look at what's out there.
right. And
So
I think
maybe the Commission could maybe next week give us an update.
Just to
Maybe you'll
piggyback
ask.
on that,
You'll put that. You'll
when
ask.
Greg Smith went to work for Sandwich, the person who had been let's say the what do you call it, the prime mover over there had gone, and he's been replaced by Andrea Adams, I believe. And I think that one of the things we have to find out is what progress she individually has made, because we promised the towns that we wouldn't lose momentum. So I think we need to know more about that.
Yeah, and if I'm correct, they have done tremendous
oh yeah,
work on
I know that there's, but I think the towns could need some sort of an update of what resources are available, what avenues are open to them on the Cape. Is Bourne open to them, to other towns? What else is open? And CMAS, we had that, in fact, we were offered the tour of CMAS, and we should probably go just to see, to see what it's like. But really, how dumps, as they're, so called for years and years by a lot of towns. But their transfer stations, their waste management, solid waste management, they're a combination of everything. Swap shops, all that kind of thing. So I think we can be, we can take a leadership role on this as well.
If I can bring up one other item, I just came from the Wastewater Collaborative meeting, which I'm a representative on, and they did just have a reorganization vote. So Cheryl Andrews is now the chair of the Wastewater Collaborative, and Mark Ells is the vice chair from Barnstable. Cheryl's from Provincetown.
Yes, we know. Dr. Andrews.
Dr. Andrews, yes. And but it is time, if you remember, right around budget time, and we were talking about different things. This is a 5-year or 4-year period in the Act of the Water Collaborative. It says to review the organization of the advisory council, its effectiveness, what has it accomplished, what it has accomplished. That job is done. So now you sort of restructure the collaborative in a different way, or do you go forward with that same board and prioritize it? So Andy has sent out a letter to towns, to the boards of selectmen, if they had any recommendations of who they would want on a review, an evaluation review board of the advisory council. I will sit on that review board, but we will have recommendations come before us, and Andy might drop by and just kind of bring us up to what that letter said. I got a copy of it, and I don't have one here. But so it will be time to be looking at the review of that committee, which also, if it's time for the Water Collaborative, I'm sure there are other committees. You must have a review of yours, of the Cape Light Compact. You have, but it's just your board. It's an internal discussion. But this is one that's written in the Act to see.
Right. I'm not aware of any other organizations other than the Wastewater Collaborative that have a review process for you to review the organization function.
Right.
In the last couple of years, though, the previous boards of commissioners have made commitments to having a review of all departments. We started with the Cape Cod Commission, and it was the intention that we would go department by department and review their activities and discover how opportunities for a reorganization or not would add to their their ability to perform their functions. Right. I also think that if when Mr. Gottlieb makes his report to us about where they are, I think that is one of the things that I had suggested that we tell the towns about, because one of the problems right now is the SRF funding that was made available through legislation last year has a window of 10 years, and Barnstable, Chatham, and Falmouth had demonstrated an ability to move forward on this, but I don't see a similar, let's say, momentum on the part of the other towns. So I think now is the time to ask that question, and perhaps using a report as to where the Wastewater Collaborative is would be a starting point to get the other 12 towns that we haven't really heard from getting started.
If I can just sort of update you on the conversation in there, a lot of the lack of progress of towns is you throw out this huge number of what it will cost for a wastewater management a site, a construction of such a thing, and you throw out this huge number, a couple $100 million or more or less, depending on the size of the town, of what they're looking at. And so everybody says, okay, we'll put that over there. We still have these other things. So nobody really wants to look at it. So as part of a county strategy, Andy and I have discussed this, and he brought it up with the board today, looking at financing strategies of helping towns be able to look at the topic and ways to sort of finance this where it's not such a devastating blow or a devastating number. And he can explain that better than I. And I think what we will probably give him our blessing to do is to go before boards of selectmen and talk with them and maybe their finance people about these strategies. And it's just really suggestions. It's not telling them anything. But if you do have this 10-year window, you will have some resistance as far as not only your own priorities when you start looking at these numbers, but also if you have to say this to your citizens, they will balk. But if you are able to look at this in a way that the number is much more manageable, and realistically so. He's come across different strategies that have been used. They might want to use that. And they could use it with any capital expenditure, these types of strategies that he's discussing. So without being able to get into the details of those, because it's not my expertise, and I'll only mangle it, we can have Andy answer any other questions on that.
Idea. By the way, I neglected to include Provincetown in those.
Yes, Provincetown has done tremendous, and they're going forward again.
To Dr. Andrews, who's now the chair
of
the Corps, I think she would take great exception if I,
Yes, she would. She would note that.
Okay. All right, I think that's great. When will that happen?
I will talk to. You mean as far as Andy coming to talk to us about that? Let's see, if it won't be next week, it will be the week after. Let's see what we're putting on our agenda. We have the commission we're going to talk about. We'll see who's available, and we'll get that out on the agenda. So.
Another business that I wanted to mention to you, we're starting the interview process for the replacement of the director of the RTA. I believe that the dates now are the 29th and it's Monday, Tuesday, 29th and 30th or something like that. So we're making progress on that, and hopefully we'll have somebody to recommend to the whole board on July 15th, which is the next meeting of the RTA board.
Excellent. Okay. Is there anything else?
Any other business?
I just have one other report from the administrators. As you know, we sent an email to you relative to the July 4th holiday, and the majority of our towns observe the July 4th holiday when it falls on a Saturday on Friday. So if I may, in our personnel policies, when it's a Saturday holiday, it's a floater. But you have the ability to change that. So the administration is recommending that we vote, that you make a motion to vote to close county offices on Friday, July 3rd, 2009, and observe the recognized July 4th holiday on that day.
I'll make that motion for purposes of discussion, but I would want to bring something up in discussion. Okay. I think people should know that the courts are open on that Friday. So although the county offices are closed, the courts continue to be in session. And that they take the holiday as a floating holiday.
As a floating holiday.
But since we're closing the county offices, we will be responsible for paying holiday pay to keep the courts open, since they are our tenant.
Okay. And in the past, has it worked? It's worked. It's more. Everybody is happier having it as a designated holiday as opposed to a floating day.
Correct. Okay. Question: are the courts fully serviced on that day?
I cannot answer.
You don't know
any questions about the courts as to when they acknowledge their holidays or anything. I'm not.
But they're following the state protocols.
I cannot. I'm not saying anything. Mm-hmm. I don't have it in front of me in writing, so I can't say what the courts do. I just know that we control what we do.
Okay.
Then I will call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I will get the notification out today.
Great.
That was it. That's it. Thank you.
That was easy.
Okay.
So there's no other business? We may adjourn. We don't have any...
Okay.
Thank you. Adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.